Hello everybody, it's Spark here, and welcome to today's episode of the IIRL MyTeam Career Mode. And today we are in Canada after what was, let's just say, it was a very fruitful episode last time. I think if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a title card just up there just so you can go up and see it. I recommend you check it out. It was a great video, great milestone essentially for the team, because, well, I know it was obviously going to spoil things for you here, but we won our first Grand Prix in Baku facing off Max Verstappen. And if you like the series as well, if you're liking the videos, then do leave a like and leave a comment, and make sure to subscribe to the channel as well to see some more F1 content in the future, and that will really help me out in terms of the stuff I've produced for this channel. So going forward, we've obviously got a few upgrades to pile on for the cars you would have seen there. Obviously, aero and chassis are still very much the focus. It wasn't the best Grand Prix for Vettel, but that means we've been able to catch up to him in terms of the rivalry. And recording this episode, there were a few bugs in terms of us actually cutting this one together, which explains why this one was so late as opposed to the last few ones. So obviously sorry about that, and obviously life was obviously getting in the way. But finally, we're here. We're in Canada, and we've got an episode coming out. I think we're going to go with the usual structure. I'm just going to essentially just quick stream practice to at least show you the kind of resource points and everything that I've scored. But I think with the practice, I think it's a bit of a moot point. It's just there really to kind of get you to the track and just to get in the resource points. So I'm just showing you just what I've got in terms of the points and in terms of the development boost as well. There's plenty, I think, coming off the engine, and the halo of the aerodynamic parts is really starting to come down in terms of value. But the result, it's still going to be very aero and chassis focused. But one thing we do want to do much more of is to resource more in the durability department, which I think is still at spec 1. I know in the previous episode, I think we invested in the quality control upgrade or something for that department. I don't think it's fully come through because of the gap in between these races. When I picked the Canada, I didn't fully realise just how close it was in between Azerbaijan and Canada. I think in real life, the fact that we didn't have a race in between that and France just kind of blindsided me, actually, in terms of how quickly these races are together. And I seriously hope that triple headers go in the foreseeable future in Formula 1 calendars, because it's way too much stress on the teams, especially when there's so much work really to be done in terms of getting a car ready, packing up, and then travelling to another side of the world for another race. But thankfully, we don't have that kind of problems here in my calendar mode. There was quite a big break in between a few races. But unfortunately, we only had one double header thus far. But I can't remember in terms of what I've actually chosen in terms of double headers. But I'm getting kind of sidetracked here. We've got, it's 1919 so far for Sebastian Vettel. And after we've bagged some resource points, one thing what I'm going to do is go back and buy another upgrade to hopefully get it on. I think it'll be between France and Silverstone when it comes around. I actually left Austria out because it's not one of my favourite tracks, from what I remember. So there you go. We've invested in the tyre rims, so that will just help with tyre wear. It's 1919 for Sebastian Vettel, and with a track like Canada, I'm hoping with the engine that we've got, it should be a good qualifying for us. So as I was saying before, as Canada is essentially a power circuit with our choice to sign for Renault, and a few power upgrades coming our way, then I'm hoping this qualifying session was obviously going to be a good one. But it turned out that way, more or less. I mean, with the first session, it was definitely a good one to get through, with the power in the cars helping us out. And there wasn't really much in terms of difficulty. One thing I think I have, well, I'll be honest, I confess, is that from the last video, I knew I said I was going to turn it up to 105 for the AI. I haven't done yet, so I'll just promise to do that for France. And I think the corner cutting rules in here, they're a little bit lenient as to what you get to say in time trial that any of my league races that I've been doing. So I think that's one thing, especially when a track like France, I'm going to get penalised quite a bit for track penalties, I imagine. But I think I'll definitely be turning those on for the next video in France, because now that we've won a race, I think we should make this career mode a little bit more challenging. When I say challenging, we've just gotten through, both myself and Dan Tickton have gotten through into the next qualifying rounds. So, well done, obviously, to us. I think that's our second in a row where we've been able to get straight into Q2. And with the Q2 sessions actually going for us, I decided to leave it quite late to actually go out and set a time. But it's very much a track. It's very much I enjoyed driving. Unfortunately, there's a bit of understeer still there for the first left-hander. But all things sort of aside, it went pretty well. There's still a bit of understeer on the car that I'm still trying to fight. I don't think the kind of setup I have for league racing actually works with these career mode cars, especially when they've been upgraded. So I might need to look to change the setup. But looking at the thing, I'm still got a lot of confidence actually going into these corners. I think we're qualifying is definitely my better. It's definitely something that I'm better at regards to actual race pace. So as you just saw there, that just shows how lenient I'm sort of being with the corner rules. So I think that's definitely going to have to change for the next round. I'll just make sure to do the setup changes and record them just before I go out, just so you guys can obviously see it. But we're going quite well for us. We've still got to do Sebastian Vettel, because he is, as you know, our main rival in qualifying, and things are very, very close between myself and him in terms of the rivalry. Oh, but we go very wide there. We almost tap. In fact, we do tap the front, so we might have a little bit of damage. But that's, if I was going to get damage, that's the best place to do it. And with that, we are through once again into Q3. We just got ourselves into Q10, but only just ahead of the Alpine Fernando Alonso. Ticked him, unfortunately, didn't quite get through. But like I said previously, in this team mode, I think his focus is still a little bit down. So we're trying to do whatever we can to ensure that his focus is up, because we need him up there with myself trying to get some points for the team. Otherwise, in terms of where he is in the market value, I may have to employ one of the icon drivers. I'm thinking, just to bridge the gap in between getting Ayrton Senna, I may hire maybe David Coulthard, because I don't think I've seen him a lot in many of other MyTeam videos, so it'll be nice to have Coulthard along for this one. But showing it on to Q3, anything from here, like with Azerbaijan, was very much a bonus for me, so I wasn't entirely fussed if I got a P10, but we leave it late to sour lap anyway. With the clouds dim, I think that cooled things down a bit in tyre temperature. We go across the line, and I can't show you the standings now because of the problems I had with recording in the memory of my computer, but for now, you'll see it for yourself when Crofty announces it.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at a fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than a tenth of a second. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles an hour here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions. And watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and the final chicane. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Let's discuss Haas. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs, but this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas and Norris, Hamilton, Ricciardo, the owner driver and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon and Vettel, Tigtum, Stroll, Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen, Russell, Latifi, Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. And now it's time to head down to the track.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
I think that was a bit more than just a points finish, Jeff. But as you can see, I only got 9th place, which, as far as it's not the end of the world, but we're still looking to potentially do a one stop like we did last time, because that's really going to help us in terms of making up positions. And it certainly worked in Azerbaijan, which is a very tricky track to overtake. This is not one of those tracks, so this is a track where you can overtake. We're going to go on bingo on the fuel loads as we come down to start the race. We've got 3, 4, and then we come to 5 lights on. And we are underway in Canada, and it's a bit of a sluggish start for me, especially for Hamilton, as we settle quite prettily in 9th place. We go down to the inside to overtake Hamilton, but we have to go round the outside, and can we make it stick? There'll be a 1 position gain for us in 8th place, with Hamilton right alongside us as we go to broadcast view. Can we make it round the outside? He takes the inside into the right-hander, but yes we do. We just made the left-hander work, and now that's up into 8th position, as it's getting quite crazy between Bottas, Ricciardo and Norris in front of us. We have just got to sit twitting just to make sure that we don't make any kind of contact with people. There's still a lot going on here with Hamilton trying behind to overtake us, but generally things calm down. But like I said, it's very much a skewed view of the race because of the memory of my computer, so sorry about that, guys. I was trying to render this in recording. But now when it came to lap 3, we sat right behind the McLarens, and it's Ricciardo we're trying to set up for an overtake on. This is quite good in terms of where you can get away with terms of braking, how the Constantina, as long as you're confident with the braking in this one, you can get quite close up to the car in front of you. Ricciardo's got DRS on Norris, but we've got DRS on Ricciardo, just reeling in more and more and more. Like I said, it wasn't able to show what happened there. As you can see, the overtake was a bit tricky, so I couldn't quite make it work. A few laps later on, lap 5, we go down to the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. We're not going to be able to make a move work around the chicane, so we back off and we get ourselves a bit of a slingshot exit, hopefully, coming up into the start-finish straight. Coming up now onto lap 6, where we're going to position our car. We go around to the inside of Daniel Ricciardo and go down to the broadcast view. We're going side by side round turn 2. Can we hold the position against the McLaren? He's got the inside, just as Lewis Hamilton has got on the first lap. We don't leave him any space because we probably just got the corner at that point. So it's just Lando Norris we've got to charge now. But that is us legitimately overtaking a McLaren on pure pace and pace alone. But now we've got Lando Norris in front of us that we need to overtake. Valtteri Bottas is pulling well away from the McLaren, which means Norris is not going to have the luxury of DRS to protect him from us. Neither did Daniel Ricciardo. He obviously had that luxury where it made it work for a nice couple of laps, which unfortunately I wasn't able to show you. But with Lando Norris right in front of us, he's not going to have that same luxury, so we're going to reel him in quite closely. So if we stay on board with this video, we're going to see ourselves, we're going to get DRS, but let's just see how quickly we can actually close into Lando here, as we've got, it's very, very close. We've probably eaten about 3 or 4 tenths off of that. And Lando's had a bad exit, we almost go into the back of him there. We almost go into the back of Lando, just trying to mind our own business. Go round to the outside of turn 1. Are we going to make the overtake work on Lando? No, we're not. Unfortunately, Lando has gotten enough grip coming out the first corner to block us off with turn 2. And that's something I kind of felt like I really should have made that one work. But unfortunately, Lando is still one of the best drivers out there. I mean, his season in real life Formula 1 was just incredible. As we're going to get a second bite of the cherry the next lap, with lap 7 coming on to lap 8. We brake very early just to save us a little bit of momentum coming up into turn 1. We're still quite close, but are we going to attempt something quite daring here on Norris going into the first corner? Very late braking, late exit out of turn 1, but we just made the move stick. Thankfully, no contact was made with Lando prior to that, so that is us legitimately, like on merit, on 6th place. And with that coming down to lap 12, I should have had a scene transition in there to make that a little bit easier. We just bumped the corner, and sadly, it looks like we're going to have a little bit of front wing damage. You just see, just by the side of the right front tyre, you actually see it just as I come around into the next shot. We have got damage on us, which is going to absolutely kill our lap time. I'm going to kill the tyre wear. As you just see, look there, look to the right front wing. Yes, we do have damage, so that's something that we're going to lose a little bit of time on. Like, you have to make a front wing change as soon as you get that kind of damage on the game, because as you'll see, I'm having to brake so far out, and the exit out of the corner was frankly terrible because I just don't have the grip to actually put me in the right position. But down to lap 13, we're going to come in and make our one and only stop with 18 laps to do on the medium compound tyres. That's it, we brake into, we get the car slowed down with just enough time. And unfortunately, I did not need that, because with 5 seconds to make It's 5 seconds that we're going to lose rather in the pit stops. We could really have leapfrogged a couple of people with our one-stop strategy. This effectively kills our strategy to some degree as we get the new nose onto the car. The boys in red and white doing an absolutely brilliant job. It kind of reminds me almost of the old Toyota livery, the IIRL, the one that I've adopted for this league. And also I'm still in the league, I'll probably adopt similar colours as well, just with a different kind of pattern. But in any case, we go round the outside of the pits and we come up just behind Sebastian Vettel, who is on a 2-stop strategy. So he'll only make his only stop from there. Well, we wouldn't have made our only stop from there, sorry, but he's got another one to make. So in theory, we're about 20 or so seconds ahead of our main rival in the championship, Vettel. But we are not going to just settle for that. We have got to find a way past the Aston Martin as we yeet it up the hairpin. Almost a very tentative overtake from myself, it has to be said. We're going to have DRS, thankfully. But there we have Vettel. That just shows how badly the Constantina is on this game, especially with that hairpin. We're able to make such a late lunge. The absolute yeet of probably the race so far, as we now set after Lance Stroll. We've got the advantage on Vettel in terms of the rivalry because we've done him in qualifying, and now it looks like we're going to be doing him in the race as well. As, like I said there, with the corner rules in there, I think I played them very too lenient. And we also got to turn up the AI for next time round. As we go into the next round, it's Lance Stroll's turn to feel the effects of our DRS. He's got DRS himself on Esteban Ocon in front of us. We go down to lap 16. We're going around to the inside of Lance, and we made the overtake work. So there we have it. That's 2 Aston Martins done in about 2 or 3 laps. And as we sit behind Esteban Ocon, almost pushing him along the exit of the hairpin, are we going to be able to make an overtake work here on the Alpine? It's not necessarily our favourite overtaking spot because we have struggled, particularly behind the 2 McLarens, in terms of actually making it work. As we go down to the chicane, we stay behind the Alpine for now. We overshoot the corner, as you just saw there in the video, and that is going to give Ocon all the breathing space that he needs before we can actually go back and follow him again. The 2 Astons are right on my back now, and we've got to make the move work on Esteban Ocon, paying back almost for that victory he got in Spain. It will be cathartic to some degree. Once we actually passed him, just coming up to the second DRS zone, we actually find ourselves in a battle with Yuki Tsunoda as it goes down to the chicane, and finally we make an overtake work in that sector. And there we have it. The AlphaTauri still right behind us, and now we've got Fernando Alonso to chase down. It's definitely quite interesting stuff, just showing how far we've come already in this season. That we may not be right at the top of the grid, and I may not be the best driver in the world, but on legitimate pace, we are finding ourselves capable of overtaking cars faster than us as we go down the inside of the Alpine. Just going on Alonso's count to show we actually brushed tyres, but Alonso has to drop back from there, and unfortunately he's done himself no favours at all. We now found ourselves ahead of Alonso and behind Pierre Gasly, who's said you're going to be our next victim for an overtake, and right in front of him is actually Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. As it comes round, we're going to fancy ourselves an even more opportunistic pass here. We go around the inside of the left-hander just before the DRS zone at the end of Sector 1. I mean, that was a very late chance, but I think the confidence that we've got from overtaking from the chicane has kind of helped us in another part of the track. That was a lovely move from us to overtake Pierre Gasly, who now still behind us. We've now got Lewis Hamilton actually for close comfort in front of us. It's going to be hard one to overtake him. He covers the inside. This isn't the most friendliest overtaking spot. The Mercedes locks up. We've got to stay behind him though, because the DRS is very powerful in this track. And we are finding Pierre Gasly behind us now, attempting to make a move. We're going to go on board in front of us, and we've got to find the right place to put down the throttle just so we can catch up to Lewis Hamilton. He looks like he may have DRS from the McLaren in front of him. Actually, I don't think he has. We're going to have DRS from the Mercedes, and hopefully we can try and reel in Lewis Hamilton, who I think in the last season he actually lost the world title to Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas still quite a ways ahead of him. I think currently at the moment it's Max Verstappen at the lead at the top in sheets now. As we go down to the inside, Hamilton's on hards, we're on mediums, and we just made it work. So we can have to assume that Hamilton's going to the end, But in the tyre pace here, the tyre difference has helped us pass the Mercedes legitimately on pace, which is certainly great to see. But we have to see Perez, Bottas and Sainz behind of us all making pit stops now, as we've got nearly 10 laps, just over 10 laps actually to do left in this Grand Prix. And with us, with our position, we're finding ourselves back in the points, but we're probably looking for about a 4th or 5th place finish. That would be a great way to finish. I think we're not going to get the win because unfortunately the damage that we got on lap 12 is really hurting us, but we found ourselves victim to Valtteri Bottas quite quickly, as once he made his pit stop, he reeled us in so quickly, and there was nothing I could do actually to fight him. As you'll see, the Mercedes go through quite quickly. Actually, no, I say that back. We actually do fight him. We do fight Valtteri back, and we maintain our position. It's lap 25, but that just shows how quickly Valtteri was able to catch us after he made his pit stop. But it just shows that when the tyre difference is there, we're still lagging behind quite a lot in terms of our car and in terms of my overall driving ability, it has to be said. I mean, I know I still run with the dynamic racing line assist. We recover ourselves from Valtteri Bottas, who, once we come out of this sector, I think it's going to be easy pickings for him coming out with a hairpin. We're going to have not much defence. We don't have much energy, as you can see from the screen, but drops down. We actually overshoot. We lock up. And there we go, he's overtaken us by the hairpin actually, so way before the DRS zone. So with overtake actually activated, we use it to stay right there, but the power of the DRS is we're just going to run out of energy. He's going to have the DRS there, so I think it's only fair that we just give up the position. Otherwise, we are going to fall victim to Lando Norris in front of us. But later on that lap, we're on board with Sebastian Vettel, and he's retiring, it seems. Our rival Sebastian Vettel is coming out of the race. And with that, that's going to help us massively in terms of our rivalry, which means a little bit more driver acclaim so we can boost our driver perks with the extra media answers and extra resource point development. We're certainly going to need it as Lando Norris tries to get one back over us. He already made his second stop, goes round to the inside, but no! We don't give up the position that easily. And Lando Norris in the McLaren still has to find a way behind us. So he goes round to the outside. He's almost overtaken us by the outside. We absolutely shut the door while he goes to the left hand. And there we see Carlos Sainz, his old teammate rather, at McLaren, fighting him then. And at that point, that's really going to help us, because those two fighting each other is going to build me more and more of the buffer that I need to stay ahead. And coming on to the end of that race, that is essentially what happened. So look there, I mean, that's going to buy me about 2 or 3 seconds, but it's such a great battle between them. They're not giving an inch, either of them, and I don't know who's going to come out on top. With us coming round to the hairpin to start lap 28, behind us there, it's actually Sainz that got ahead, and once he come round to the end of this particular round, it's, yeah, as you see, lap 35. I'm sorry, the editing in this one was particularly choppy. It's just I had a few problems and I had to get this one out done and dusted quite quickly. Max Verstappen actually won the race, but with our performance, we're going to take what is a very crucial result for us, come across the line for a strong points finish. While Vettel retired, we were able to hold off on bingo fuel as well.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
So there we go, guys. Max Verstappen wins that one. It's a 1-2 result there for Red Bull, but we're not interested in what's happening at the top because we're not fighting at the top, frankly. Verstappen gets the win over what happened in Azerbaijan between me and him. We finished in 5th place overall, just holding off Sainz, and our fuel actually ran out. And with that, we are actually of all places, in 4th place in the World Championship standings with, I think, a total of 48 points. That's a brilliant result for us, but unfortunately no points yet for Dan Ticktum. So we have got to do everything we can, I think, really invest into the personnel department to help him up. We're 4th in the constructor standings, but savour it while you can, because that's not going to stay that way for very long. We're given the way we're turning up the wick somewhat in the difficulty in the corner cutting, and we're also just going to find out just how difficult life really is. So just as we push more towards 110 AI, with the cars so obviously changing as well, it's going to be very, very tricky to find. But we've got to boost Ticktum's morale, because it's not really fair for him. Obviously the investment's going on the other way, but I think that's the drivers make the difference in terms of doing the machinery. So with that, we're going to skip the interviews and just go to the end of the rivalry breakdown. So that's 3-1 in my favour. We also got them on qualifying as well. So the scores are 24-21 to myself, with 2 races remaining. So as long as we play it safe in France, as long as we play it consistent, we should get closer to driver level 15, which means we can get more driver perks for myself. But now, with plenty of resource points there, and I think a little bit of time in between now and France. Actually, no, I think it might have been about a week or so between now and France. We got to think about really where to put our money. Unfortunately, the damages that we got during the race and during qualifying as well has kind of eaten into our bonus. Nearly 5 million in the bank, so we got to invest in a particular department, because all that, I think, away is going to play into how much sponsor money we get once we come to renew our deals. Zenon so far has been really good as a title sponsor, but now that we're looking at the way we are, but obviously we got the difficulty to bear in mind as well. We've got a dispute to resolve in the powertrain department, but I'm going to leave that to the next episode. So if you have enjoyed this, do let me know what you think in the like in the comment section, and do subscribe to the channel if you like it. I'm sorry for the quality in this one not being too good. I just had some problems obviously recording it. But thank you all so much for watching, guys. I've been Spark. See you guys next time out. Bye-bye.